Hello everyone, Seago here once again, and today I got another video guide for you for Resto Druids. Now, luckily for Resto Druids, things haven't changed that much for Prepatch or coming up for Legion. They're the same good old Resto Druids, but there has been a couple changes to the class, so I'll go ahead and get to those now. First off, Wild Mushroom, Nature Swiftness, and Genesis have all been removed, and they're no longer in the game. Swiftman no longer requires you to have an active HOD on the player, and if you don't know what a HOD is a heal over time, so you can use Swiftman whenever. And the Mastery Harmony has been changed to increase the healing done to a player affected by a HOD for each HOD active on them at a time. So the more HODs on them, the more healing that's done to them. And Life Bloom can no longer be refreshed by Regrowth or Healing Touch. So if you like that for Life Bloom, well, too bad. Now let's go over some of the strengths and weaknesses of a Resto Druid. Resto Druids are amazing at keeping a steady stream of healing on the entire raid group. They really excel at that. They're also really good at tank healing as long as you can keep those HOTS, as long as you get those HOTS rolling on the tanks. If you keep track of those HOTS on the tanks, you're going to be good to go. But they're also really good at just keeping the entire raid healed up with their HOTS. The big downside of a Resto Shaman is they're not really good at reacting to sudden bursts of damage. Sure, they have Tranquility, but Tranquility is on a 3-minute cooldown, so every 3 minutes you can react to a bunch of burst damage, but other than that, you're not going to be that well. There's other healing classes that excel at it. Resto Druids do it okay. Now, as you remember, if you see my last guide for the Resto Shaman, I said you must have a Resto Shaman in your group. Same thing with a Resto Druid. You want a Resto Druid in your group as well, or maybe two. You want at least one Resto Shaman. I would say at least 2 Resto Druids in a raid group to be really good. And then on my next video, we talk about Holy Paladins, and you want a Holy Paladin. So Resto Druids are going to be amazing again in, just like they've been for a while. They're going to be amazing in raid content. Group content especially, Resto Druids will shine in Mythic Plus dungeons. A lot of things I've been testing, and a lot of people I've seen, their groups are always a Resto Druid because they're just so good at the Mythic Plus dungeon content. So let's first go into the Resto Druid stat priority here. Let me go ahead and get my UI back up here. I don't want you to sit down. No city. Now, of course, first stat, always intellect. Intellect's your main one. Then you want haste. My haste is pretty low right now because I haven't really played a Resto Druid that much for WoD. I had to switch to Bear Tank for the group because we lost the tank there for a while. But I believe the haste, I've seen a lot of them go to 38%. Of course, I'm not there because Bear Tanks where you don't do haste. Crit is your second choice, or technically your third if you're counting intellect. Mastery followed by versatility. So let me say that again: int, haste, critical strike, mastery. So you want to look for haste and crit on your gear first, then mastery, or I guess if you really wanted to, versatility. But you all know how I feel about versatility. Born stat. Those are your stats. Pretty simple. Let's go on to your builds and talents, shall we? Let me pull that up here. Okay. Talents in a build. There's a couple different ways I guess you could go. Right now, we're gonna talk about each tier of talent and what they can bring to the table. Let's start with level 15. Prosperity. Swiftman now has 2 charges and its cooldown is reduced by 5 seconds. Cenarian Ward protects a friendly target for 30 seconds. Any damage taken will consume the ward and heal the target for such and such over 8 seconds in abundance. For each rejuve you have active, the cast time of Healing Touch is reduced by 10%, and the critical effect chance of regrowth is increased by 10%. Now, I know there's a couple people have saying different things, because I know if you go to, like, say, Icy Veins, it's saying abundance is not recommended. But that's what everybody's been using. Or it could depend on your, what is it, your 75 there. So if you're looking at different guides, it would say don't take abundance, but I do it because I like it a lot more. But you can also go, say, if you take Soul of the Forest, then you want Prosperity, because those two interact very well with each other. But if you're taking Incarnation Tree of Life, then you want Cenarian Ward, since you will not be using Swiftmend a lot with these two. But with Soul of the Forest and Prosperity, you'll be using Swiftmend a lot more. That's how that works. But right now I've been using Abundance. A lot of other Resto Druids I've talked to are also using Abundance because it just feels a lot better. I think even then, you can get a lot more healing touches on it, and I think it does more healing than the other two, but I could be wrong on that. Let's look at your level 30 talents now. Renewal instantly heals you for 30% of your maximum health, usable in any form. Displacer Beast teleports you up to 20 yards forward, activating cat form, increasing your movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. And Wild Charge. It gives you a movement space based on the various shapeshifts forms. And we're not going to talk about that because we're not going to be using that. But this tier is pretty much, what do you want more? Do you want more survivability or do you want movement? Again, it will depend on the fight. Movement, Displacer Beast, survivability, renewal. That's all there is to say doing that. Renewal is great for self-healing, and it will keep you alive. Let's talk about your level 45 talents now. I shouldn't have said that because it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't really matter here. I guess if you're doing Mythic Plus Dungeons, you could go Balance because you'll be doing damage as a healer when you're not actually doing healing on boss fights in Mythic Plus Dungeons to help with that timer. And Guardian, you can just keep yourself alive. It reduces all your damage taken. It boosts your survivability in any situation. So, in world content, if you plan on leveling as a Resto Druid, I would probably say go Guardian Affinity. But that's all there is to say about that. I mean, none of these are going to help you in a raid environment. So, there you go. Okay, your level 60 talents. You have Mighty Bash, which invokes the Spirit of Ursak to stun the target for 5 seconds. Usable in all shapes and forms. Mass Entanglement roots the target in place for 20 seconds and spreads to additional nearby enemies. Damage may interrupt the effect. And you have Typhoon. Strikes targets within 15 yards in front of you with a violent typhoon, knocking them back and dazing them for 6 seconds. Now, the talents in this tier are irrelevant in terms of your performance. You can simply choose which one you prefer the most, or whichever one will suit the encounter the best. Which, of course, Typhoon will probably be the one that suits the counter the best most of the time. So there you go on that. Your 75, we kind of talked about these when we talked about the level 15 talents. You have Soul of the Forest. When you cast Swiftmend, you gain Soul of the Forest, increasing the healing of your next regrowth or rejuvenation by 200%, or increasing the healing of your next wild growth by 75%. Incarnation Tree of Life. Shapeshift into the Tree of Life, increasing healing done by 15%, increasing armor by 120%, and granting protection from polymorph effects. Functionality of Rejuve, Wild Growth, Regrowth, and Entangle is enhanced. Lasts 30 seconds. And we're not going to talk about Cultivation because it's not generally viable in most situations right now. So the choice comes down to Soul of the Forest and Incarnation, depending on the counter. So if there are a lot of burst damage at predictable intervals throughout the fight, then Incarnation Tree of Life is the better choice. Otherwise, if there's a bunch of sustained damage throughout the fight, you should choose Soul of the Forest. Simple as that. So, Incarnation of Life for burst damage, Soul of the Forest for sustained. And of course, Incarnation Tree of Life goes with Cenarian Ward best, and Soul of the Forest goes with Prosperity the best. Okay, your level 90 talents. You have Spring Blossom. Each target healed by efflorescence is healed for additional such and such over 6 seconds. Inner Peace reduces the cooldown of Tranquility by 60 seconds. In Germination, you can apply Rejuvenation twice to the same target. Now this was added in WoD. I believe that was the go-to talent, I believe, for WoD. But it is not the one to go to right now. It's just not currently viable for Prepatch and then for Legion. And for these two, the choice between them is generally easy to make. So if the encounter on which you are progressing has regular bursts of damage that come at, like, say, 2-minute intervals, that's when Train comes back up, then you want, what was it, Inner Peace. Otherwise, if that's not happening, you take Spring Blossom. Simple as that. So if a fight lasts for like 8 minutes and at each 2-minute interval, that's a bunch of burst damage coming out or whatever. Oh, that'd be good to take because it reduces the Trank by 60 seconds. So that's that on that one. And of course, you can't forget their level 100 talents. You have Moment of Clarity, which Omen of Clarity now affects the next 3 regrowths. We'll talk about that more, Omen of Clarity, in a bit. But I mean, honestly, you're never gonna take that. Moment of Clarity is just not worth choosing at the moment. Stonebark reduces the cooldown of Ironbark by 30 seconds and it increases healing from your heal over time effects by 20%. And Flourish extends the duration of all your heal over time effects on friendly targets within 60 seconds by 6 seconds. Now the best talent in this tier is Flourish, mainly because it can extend all your heal over time effects. It does extend all your heal over time effects. There will be fights for Stonebark is good, especially when your tanks need more reduced damage. And I mean, it also increases your healing from your heal over time effects by 20%, but Flourish is just better right now. So this is the one you'd be taking most of the time. Simple as that. Okay, now that we talked about your talents, let's go into abilities, rotation or your priority list, and of course, all that fun stuff. So let's look at efflorescence. This is your blanket heal. So this is the one that we've all seen this one before. You stand in this to get healed. And it lasts 30 seconds, and you can only have one. You have Rejuve, which is your heals the target for such and such over 5 seconds. And your Tree of Life, like I have Tree of Life on right now, so healing increased by 50% and mana cost reduced by 30%. So that's pretty good when I have Tree of Life activated. You have your Regrowth here, which heals a friendly target for such and another such and such over 12 seconds. Regrowth initial heal has a 60% increased chance for a critical hit. Another HOD, really good HOD right here. Again, a bunch of these are just amazing HODs. That's what Druid's trying at. Life Bloom heals the target for such and such over 15 seconds. When Life Bloom expires or is dispelled, the target is instantly healed for such and such. Limit 1. This is what you put on your tank. Always on a tank. And you can only have one, so you usually choose which tank is actually tanking the boss and is going to take a bunch of damage. So there's that one. And you have Wild Growth, which it's right over. Yeah, this is your AoE hot and kills up to 6 injured allies. And Tree of Life affects an additional 2 targets, so you can have up to 8 injured allies being healed by a Wild Growth when this is activated. And you have, of course, Healing Touch, which is your heals a friendly target for such and such, which is your single target heal. Not much to say about that. And your cooldown usages, you really only have 2 as a Resto Druid. With your talents, you have a couple more. I like Tree of Life here. You have Trank, which is your heal all allies within 40 yards for such and such over 7.1 seconds. Healing increased by 100% when not in a raid. 3-minute cooldown, but if you take that one talent, it becomes a 2-minute cooldown. But this is your one big cooldown, and I'm not going to tell you when to use it. Your raid leaders or whoever will tell you should have a list of, during this encounter, this guy's going to use this, or that guy's going to use this, or whatever. And you have Iron Bark, which is right over here. Iron Bark, the target skin becomes tough as iron wood, reducing all damage taken by 20% for 12 seconds. You want to use this on your tank when they need it. The tank should be calling out for that. Oh, I almost forgot Innervate. Not invert, Innervate. Infuse a friendly healer with energy, allowing them to cast spells without spending mana for 10 seconds. Now, yeah, that's back, so it doesn't restore mana, it just allows people to just really cast without spending any. I almost forgot, so your big passive for Omen of Clarity, I was going to talk about this earlier. Your healing over time from Life Bloom has a 4% chance to cause a clear classing state, making your next regrowth cost no mana. You should have a week or watching for this. And you should always take advantage of it. You also have your Sorrow's Gift right there, which heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 3 seconds. If you're at full health, a random nearby injured ally will be healed instead. That's your passive for Resto Druids. And I think we also have, if I'm not mistaken, Living Seed. Yeah, we saw that. When you critically heal a target with the direct healing portion of Swiftman, Regrowth, or Healing Touch, you plant a Living Seed at the target. When the target is next attacked, the Living Seed will bloom and heal the target of 50% of the initial heal. It lasts 15 seconds. Now, it's all passive, and you don't really have to keep track of it, but you should know how it works. Also, you don't have to keep track of it, but you should be aware of it, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and look at your rotation, or I should say priority, because healers really don't have rotations. So for single target healing, this will be for like your tanks or someone who really needs healing desperately. You want to maintain effluences. That's your ground AoE here. You want to put your Life Bloom, say, on the tank, and you want to go, I think, Rejuve. And then you want to go Regrowth on them as well. So all these dots that are rolling right now will help your tank stay alive. And if the target is taking more damage than these dots are healing, then you will Healing Touch them. And if this damage is still too high, you can Swift Mend. So go ahead and put those back on. Say I got all these going. Say, take a damage still, Healing Touch, still taking too much damage, well, I can still Swift Mend them. And then... And if, of course, if the target's taking extreme amounts of damage, like a boss is about to use their Uber ability, well, you cast Iron Bark. Make sure you and the tank are communicating when that tank needs that Iron Bark. Also keep in mind that Life Bloom heals for a large amount when it expires from the target. So you should always, always, always let Life Bloom fully expire before you reapply it. That is key. Do not reapply Life Bloom while it's still activated. It does a big heal once it expires. Now for AoE / raid healing, maintain effluences. That's the blanket heal again. You should always try and keep this under at least 3 people. That is the key. You also want to apply Rejuve to raid members who think you will take damage. So if you know for a fact raid members are about to take damage, and you know, like, Bob over there is going to stand in some fire in a second, well, go ahead and put a rejuve on Bob, even though you might not like Bob, but Bob needs some healing. Also, during periods of moderate or high rate damage, you want to use wild growth here. So when you know the raid's about to take some AoE damage, go ahead and apply your wild growth there. And if a raid member suddenly drops to like extreme low health, like 20%, you want to swift them immediately. Now, naturally, while healing the raid in this way, on this AoE healing, nothing prevents you from also keeping your hots on the tanks, as I mentioned above. So while you're doing this to the raid, you also want to make sure you're keeping the hots up on your tanks at all times. You should have weak auras tracking this stuff. I don't have my weak auras going right now because some of them messed up with a pre-patch, and I need to fix some of them. So if you're not good at making your own weak auras, you can go online, Google it, and I believe MMO Champion has some of the forum posters on there have some pretty awesome weak auras for you. So make sure you have weak auras. You need weak auras for raiding. If you do not have weak auras, you're doing it wrong. Simple as that. Let's go ahead and I guess talk about your cooldowns, Trank and Ironbark. I mean, I've already talked about them before. Trank you'll be using when a officer, raid leader tells you to. Ironbark you'll use when a tank needs you to. I don't really want to go too much more into it because that's all there is to it. You shouldn't be deciding if you're popping it when you want to. You're doing it wrong. Sorry, but you just are. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Again, thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and please tell me what I need to improve on. I'm still getting the hang of making these awesome video guides for you. Well, probably not awesome right now, but I hope they're helpful at least. If you have any more questions, I'm on Twitter. The links will be on below. I stream on Twitch. You can ask me questions on there too. But again, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to you all next time. Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.